Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through a couple player props I like over on Prizepicks for the Week 4 college football slate this Saturday. Going to be breaking down 4 props that I like over on Prizepicks for the games, specifically on Saturday. Now, we do have some games on Friday, and I am making this video on Friday afternoon, but I decided not to give out any props for the games on Friday. Didn't really see a ton of props I liked. So just going to be focused on a Saturday slate. Obviously, there's full slate of games. Got 4 plays to share in this video, guys. And as always, we're going to break down these 4 plays and we're going to share why I like them. Now, before we do get started, make sure you guys hit that like button down below. If you enjoy these Prizepicks videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to Prizepicks and if you don't have a Prizepicks account, be sure to sign up. Use that promo code NOAH when you sign up for Prizepicks, and when you place your first lineup, you will instantly get $50 in promo funds added to your account. So no matter if you win or lose your first lineup, Prizepicks is going to give you $50 instantly added to your account that you can use towards additional lineups. And then, if you win any money off those lineups, you can withdraw that money. It's whatever you want to do, but make sure to take advantage of that promo. And again, sign up and make sure to use promo code NOAH when you do sign up for Prizepicks. And we do also have a partnership with Sleeper. If you guys want to check out Sleeper, you can do so linked down below in the description. Or again, just use that promo code NOAH over on Sleeper. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. And if you don't know what Sleeper is, they are a DFS pick'em app similar to Prizepicks, where you're just picking more or less on player projections. You're building out an entry. You can make up to an 8-pick entry on Sleeper. You can win up to 100x your money. And Sleeper does offer college football props. So if you want to take college football plays, you can do that on Sleeper. You can mix that with NFL, multiple sports, MLB, whatever it may be. But definitely check out Sleeper if you guys have not yet. And again, make sure to use that promo code NOAH when you sign up to get your first deposit matched up to $100. But yeah, guys, we got 4 plays to talk about for Saturday's college football slate. Now, recapping our plays from week 3, we almost had a full sweep on week 3, hit 3 out of 4 plays. Unfortunately, the one play that missed was Brady Cook over 200, I think it was 264.5 pass yards, and I believe he finished with 263 pass yards. He literally came up 2 yards short of going over his pass yards prop. That was the one prop that we missed. We hit our other 3 plays though. But yeah, unfortunately, it just needed 2 more pass yards from Brady Cook, and we would have gotten a full sweep on college football last week. So let's try and get back at it, see if we can get a full sweep this week. Again, guys, got 4 plays I like for Saturday's slate. So looking at the first prop that I like for Saturday, we're going to take a look at a Blake Shapen prop, and the prop that I like here is actually going to be less than 7.5 rush yards. So Blake Shapen, quarterback for Mississippi State, he has never really been known as a scrambler, as a dual threat quarterback. Now, you do look at his game log, and you can see that he did have 44 rush yards. That was week 1 against Eastern Kentucky. Obviously, very weak opponent. And then last week in week 2 against Arizona State, he actually had negative 22 rush yards. It's showing up as 0 on Prizepicks, but he had negative 22. For those of you that are unaware, for college football, you do lose rush yards for sacks. So if a quarterback gets sacked for a 10-yard loss, that counts as negative 10 rush yards. So quarterbacks can finish with negative rush yards. And last week against Toledo, Shapen had negative 18 rush yards. Week 2 against Arizona State, he had negative 22 rush yards. He did have 44 rush yards against Eastern Kentucky, but again, that was an easy matchup against a bad opponent. Well, this week, Mississippi State is going to face Florida. Now, Florida, they have not looked very good to start the season, but obviously Florida is still better than some of the teams that they have faced. I mean, Florida's better than Eastern Kentucky. Florida's probably better than Toledo. They're probably better than Arizona State. So I don't think it's the greatest matchup here for Shapen. I know this game does have kind of a high total, but what we're really betting on here is just that Shapen is not a runner. He doesn't really scramble much at all. He's a pocket passer. You can look at his game log last season. He had negative rush yards in 5 out of 8 games last season. The games he went over this line, he had 12, 29, and 42 rush yards. But again, negative rush yards in 5 out of 8 games last season. If Florida can just sack him for maybe if they can just sack him once or twice for negative 10 yards, it's probably going to be hard for him to go over this line, because it's pretty unlikely for him to break off a long run. Again, if he does get any rush yards, those are probably going to come from scrambles. They don't really call design runs for Blake Shapen. So I do like this under of 7.5 rush yards. I think there's a lot of ways that we can hit this play. maybe, even if Shapen doesn't take any sacks and doesn't lose any yards, maybe he just doesn't run because he typically doesn't run. I mean, he's not a guy that scrambles much at all. So like this as our first prop for Saturday. We're going to take Blake Shapen for less than 7.5 rush yards. And then the next two props that I like are going to be correlated. So we're going to look at a kind of a quarterback wide receiver stack. Now, we did this last week, and 2 of the 4 plays we gave out last week was a quarterback wide receiver stack. Unfortunately, one of the plays that missed was the quarterback play with Brady Cook going under his yards by 2. But Luther Burden, we took him for over receiving yards. He easily went over. And a lot of times you'll see that, especially in college football, with how quarterbacks like to target their top receivers. A lot of times if a quarterback goes over their pass yards line, their top receiver is probably also going over their receiving yards line. And the quarterback receiver stack that I do like is Baron Morton. We're going to take him for more than 266.5 pass yards, and we're going to pair that with Josh Kelly, more than 69.5 receiving yards. So these two props, directly correlate. Very good chance that if Morton throws for 267 yards, you're also going to see Josh Kelly get 70 yards. You can just look at their game log this season. Week 1, Morton threw for 378 yards, and in that game, Josh Kelly had 156 yards. Week 2, Morton threw for 323 yards, and in that game, Josh Kelly had 95 yards. Now, last week, Morton did throw for 273 yards, and Kelly only had 36 yards, but Morton was really, really efficient last week. He had only 15 completions, but he threw for 273 yards on only 15 completions, so very, very efficient. It was a game that Texas Tech won easily against North Texas. They beat North Texas 66-21, and that was another thing. Like you would have saw Morton and Kelly both could have had better games last week, but they didn't even play the whole game because it was a big time blowout. Well, now this week they face Arizona State in a game that projects to be competitive. I think the spread in this game right now is at 2.5 or 3.5. Texas Tech's favored by 3. This game has a 59.5 total, so you got a total near 60 in this Texas Tech Arizona State game. So this is projected to be a high scoring game. It's projected to be a competitive game. And Texas Tech, they're an offense that plays relatively fast. They will throw the ball a lot. They do have a really good running back in Taj Brooks, who they'll give a ton of carries to, but they also throw the ball a lot. I mean, you can just look at week 1. Blake Shapen had, I believe, 42 pass attempts week 1. Now that game did go to overtime, but still he had 42 pass attempts week 1. Now week 2 against Washington State, they did not have Taj Brooks, and they were very pass heavy that game. Morton had 58 pass attempts in week 2. Last week, only 19 pass attempts, but again, it was a massive blowout. He didn't even play the whole game. We can expect Morton to play the whole game here. We can expect a much more competitive game here against Arizona State. And again, this is a game that projects to be high scoring, projects to be competitive. I like betting on Morton to go over his pass yards, and I like pairing that with Josh Kelly for over 69.5 receiving yards. I mean, Josh Kelly's a really talented receiver, transferred from Washington State. He put up good numbers at Washington State last season, kind of competing with other receivers for targets. Well, on this Texas Tech team, Josh Kelly's the clear wide receiver 1, and he's put up really big numbers to start the season. Again, had a down game last week, but I think that was more so just because of the score. I mean, they won that game by 45 points. They had no reason to really air it out. We can expect them to get back to playing more pass heavy this week in a game against Arizona State that, like I said, projects to be competitive. So that is a correlated stack that I do like. Morton over 266.5 pass yards, Kelly over 69.5 receiving yards. I think very good chance that if Morton goes over, you're also going to see Kelly go over, and there's definitely a chance that if Morton goes under, Kelly also goes under. So you're kind of playing for either both of these are going to hit or neither one of them are going to hit. If we're doing, if you do a power play, you're obviously betting on all the picks to be right. So it makes sense to just do a power play and bet on both these plays to hit, which again, I think if one of them hits, the other one probably does too. So that's those are the 3 plays I like. Now let's talk about one more prop I do like, and we're going to take a look at a Donovan Edwards prop. And the Donovan Edwards prop that I like this week is going to be more than 57.5 rush yards. So Donovan Edwards was in a, kind of like a timeshare last season with Blake Corum. Obviously, Blake Corum no longer on the team. He's in the NFL now. Well, Michigan is still involving multiple running backs. They do have Khalil Mullings, who's been really good this season, been very efficient as a runner. Mullings averaging over 7 yards per carry this season. Edwards also been relatively efficient, averaging over 4 yards per carry. Historically, Edwards has shown the ability to be effective on the ground. And you look at his game log this season, he's only gone over this line once, and that was last week against Arkansas State. But then you got to look more into it. So the game against Texas was a game that Michigan was playing from behind. They had to throw. They didn't really run the ball much in that game because Texas was blowing them out. And in that game, Donovan Edwards only had 8 carries. Now, he was still pretty efficient, averaging over 5 yards per carry, had 41 yards on only 8 carries. And then week 1 against Fresno State, he was really inefficient, had 11 carries for only 27 yards. But we saw the volume get back up to normal for Donovan Edwards last week. He was also pretty efficient, averaging close to 5 yards per carry. He got 17 carries last week. He led the team in running back carries. Khalil Mullings had 15 carries last week. And again, Michigan, they're going to involve multiple running backs. You're not going to see Donovan Edwards just go out there and get 25 carries because they have other guys that they will use. But I do still think that most weeks you are going to see Donovan Edwards lead this backfield in carries. And if we're going to get 13, 14, 15 carries for Donovan Edwards, which I think is a pretty good projection for him, if he's going to get around 15 carries, he should be efficient enough on the ground. He should be able to average about 4 yards per carry at least and have a good chance of going over 57.5 rush yards. I think this is a pretty decent matchup against USC. USC has never been known as a great defensive team. So far this season, USC has kind of been vulnerable against the run. Week 1 against LSU, John Emery, he ran for over 6 yards per carry against this USC team. Utah State, their running backs were pretty efficient on the ground. I don't know these guys' name, Rashul Fishon. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but basically the 2 running backs for Utah State averaged 6 and 4.8 yards per carry against this USC team. So I know it's kind of a small sample, only a few games. I think 2 games they played, but USC has been vulnerable against the run this season. They've historically been kind of a bad defense. This is a game that projects to be competitive, so I don't think we have to worry about Michigan playing from way behind here. I mean, they're playing at home. I know they're underdogs at home, but still, this line has a 4-point spread. It projects to be a close game. And in close games, we know Michigan, they want to run the ball. They're not a team that's going to pass a ton. They're going to be starting Alex Orji this week. Alex Orji, you can just look at his prop lines. He doesn't have very high pass attempt lines, pass yards lines. I mean, his pass yards is set, I think, 127.5 last time I checked. 127.5 pass yards for Alex Orji. So, clearly, Michigan not really projected to have a bunch of pass yards here. This is going to be a run-heavy script for them. They're a team that likes to run the ball as much as possible. I think we can project Donovan Edwards for 13, 14, 15 carries here. And if he gets that type of volume, he should be able to average at least 4 yards per carry in this matchup. I think a more appropriate line for him is 64.5, 65.5. I feel 57.5 rush yards for him is a little bit low. So I do like that as our 4th and final play for college football Saturday. Going to take Donovan Edwards for more than 57.5 rush yards. And even though we do have a correlated stack here of Morton and Kelly, we're still getting a 10x payout if you do a 4-pick power play with these 4 props. Now, if you were to take out Chapin and Edwards and do another stack, the payout would go down to 8.5x. So you kind of have to, when you're doing these quarterback receiver stacks, you definitely want to be looking at the payouts because you're not always going to get a normal payout depending on what kind of stacks you do. Usually, though, when you do just a quarterback and a wide receiver and then take a couple plays from a different game, that usually you won't really get a payout shift for that. It says payout shift, but you see we're still getting 10x. So, these are 4 props, guys, I like for Saturday's college football games. We're going to roll with Blake Chapin, less than 7.5 rush yards. Quarterback wide receiver stack of Baron Morton, over 266.5 pass yards. Pairing that with Josh Kelly, over 69.5 receiving yards, and then taking Donovan Edwards for more than 57.5 rush yards. Let's see if we can go 4 for 4 this week. Again, we should have went 4 for 4 last week, but Brady Cook came up 2 yards short of his pass yards prop. Let's see if we can get a full sweep this week, hit all 4 of these plays. As always, though, guys, appreciate you watching these college football videos. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below. If you do enjoy this Prizepicks content, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, guys, if you don't have an account on Prizepicks, be sure to sign up for Prizepicks and use that promo code NOAH. When you sign up, place your first lineup. You'll instantly get $50 in promo funds added to your account when you use promo code NOAH. So check out Prizepicks if you guys have not yet. But good luck this week. As always, appreciate you watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.